All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm Gerardo, creator of LookIntoHex.com. As you see before you here, there have been a few changes, some actually really important changes to the Regression Rainbow tab. This is actually our first sort of debut and motivation to actually starting the LookIntoHex chart series in the first place and launching the public website, finding out or figuring out how to launch a site like this. And I have some cool updates on V2 as well. I'll talk about those at the end of the video. But let's dive right into the Regression Rainbow updates, right? The statistical model that made its way into the community. It requires a few updates, right? And you see a lot of people saying like, well, oh, your Regression Rainbow was invalidated, or you can't just refit it. Well, guess what? You can. That's more data equals happy statistics, is what I say. The more data you have, the better, because it better reflects reality in the actual price chart. Because we can sit around here and look at a model like what we had going on, and we can just sit around here and say, okay, well, this is the case, we broke it. But remember, I said if we started forming significant, prolonged, sustained structure beneath it, we'd probably want to refit it to be a model that includes diminishing returns. Right? So we did a bunch of updates on the Regression Rainbow, which I outlined in a tweet from the LookIntoHex account. You should go follow that actually. Let me open that real quick actually. Twitter, go to LookIntoHex. Almost 3K followers. So yeah, definitely go follow twitter.com/LookIntoHex. You guys are killing it there. Should probably update this banner. But nonetheless, what am I pointing out here? Well, I'm pointing out the Regression Rainbow updates. We have a new fit to the bubble data. That's blue. I'll explain that. A new fit to all of the hex price data, the green curve. Added more data points for red, 22% specifically. Went from 32 data points to 39 with the minima. And so if you're mathematically inclined, you'll love all this, and you'll love what's written up here. So I urge you to go read this. And it explains, again, the tolerance bands for each curve and these diminishing returns coefficients. Again, if you just want the simple explanation, I'll review it for you real quick. We have red curve, which is fit to bottom regions. We have the green curve, which is just fit to all of the data. And we have the blue curve, which is fit to top regions. And so not only that, since these fits aren't perfect, you gain, or you don't gain, you figure out your average difference or your standard deviation or some metric that describes the error, right? Percent error between your actual data and your model. And then you create lines above and below with that percent difference, right? That percent error. So these are really 3 unique exponential fits with 2 associated percent error lines associated to each of those, right? Right. So it's explained in mathematical terms up here. And then we also go into diminishing returns. All right, I explained this idea where we can use a simple coefficient that starts at 1 and slowly gets smaller, and the rate to which that diminishes is, we'll just look at the data and actually see, right? And so currently we're using these numbers, diminishing returns on the minima, red, DR, of 13.7%, and diminishing returns on green on all the data, we'll just say 10%. And these are the only arbitrary values in the entire model. Everything else, all these other figures are actually fit, right, from the data. But these, however, are the only ones where these can actually be adjusted, right, as the reality of the price chart plays out. And even community feedback would be awesome, right? At the end of the day, get some, maybe make these more significant. So I'm open to feedback here. And something else really cool is that if it turns out that that this model at the end of the day did describe the reality and we just started hugging it perfectly, for example, we could just set these values to 0, DR and DG, just to 0%, and it would give you back the normal, the original model. So it's just these factors that we can play with now that if set to 0, give us the original model, and if they're above 0, give us diminishing returns coefficients, right? Technically, if they were less than 0, it would be like amplifying returns, so it'd be like curving up on a log chart. That would be nuts, but we'll face reality as it comes to us. So again, I just describe all of that, and at the end of the day, we arrive at this, at a regression rainbow. Probably talked about that a bit too much before actually showing you guys, but this is what it is. And you can see again, green fit to all of the data, just straight through the middle, more or less. Blue fit to the peaks, and red fit to the bottoms. And this should, in theory, hold better because you have 3 times the amount of fits. You included tolerance bands, and right, we included more data on red, and we have diminishing returns as well. So I'll continue updating you guys on this, but the extension from fit chart looks a little bit different, right? And it's literally just this, but normalized down to the red curve, meaning everything is divided by that. So it's all scaled down simultaneously to where you can best see price performance relative to our model. Something I noticed, which is kind of interesting, is you see this like lower highs until you reach this accumulation and then blast off. And we also saw the same thing, lower highs on this model. And we're currently potentially in accumulation, would be my best guess, like a macro accumulation. It could last a week, it could last months. Nonetheless, just wanted to give you guys that update on the regression rainbow. We could get into some short term, but that's not really what this video is about. So I guess we can leave it till the end here, but again, nothing's changed for me, medium term, short term, until we break this trend line, right? That I basically just showed you. Let's just leave it how it was. Well, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. We're in a sacrifice phase similar to the previous one, where we had a downtrend, a suppression of HEX price into key levels, before we had a nice line break, a sustained line break of the downtrend on these maxima, and just ran up about 4 or 5x in about a month. And it looked really similar, right? Maybe it's a bigger formation of what happened here, but we're holding up nicely in terms of the structure, right? Coming back down to this key level of 16.9 cents, which was the top of this candle back here on Pulse Chain Sacrifice. It was the bottom of this little flag formation before we blasted off. It was the bottom candle of this local low before a huge Ethereum and HEX whale came in and pumped the price. It was a sort of trapdoor consolidation region before this dip here, which you could at least partially attribute to the Bitmart hack, where some hacker got away with a bunch of ETH, Bitcoin, HEX, and a bunch of other crypto. He just dumped it on the market. And I think this was around this time, came back down to this key level of 12 cents, which was basically the bottom over here during this sacrifice phase. And then I have drawn this key level of about 10 cents, which is the top of this wick. And that's pretty much it. And if you look on Uniswap info, let me actually pull that up. Uniswap info. You can see the huge buy wall that was injected as one-sided liquidity and the bid support specifically on the HEX USDC pair at the 1% fee, because you have 0.3% fee, 1% fee, 0.1% fee, and this 1% fee HEX USDC pair got injected with this huge buy wall that you can see here. I think it's about $20 million, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have about $500,000 sitting at every tick, basically at 7.93 cents, 8.09 cents, 8.25 cents, right? 8.42 cents, 5.9, like, and so on. So you have, it's a lot. I'm just counting real quick. You have about 45 of these ticks, right? And each of them is about $500,000. So you have about $22-ish million roughly sitting between 8 and 18 cents That's just buy pressure, guys. That is literally just USDC sitting in the pools to where if anyone wants to dump, well, if they're smart and they sell on, say, an aggregator like 1inch or matcha.xyz, then it gets distributed across all the AMMs, but specifically on Uniswap v3, that order will be hit with a ton of buy pressure everywhere from the 18 cent to the 12 cent region, or excuse me, from the 18 cent to the 8 cent region. So that's quite the range of just bids sitting there, ready to eat up the price. Price is actually right here right now, which is kind of interesting. Huh. Yeah, so I'll keep you guys updated on this. It's kind of bizarre the price is actually sitting there right now, right? Because this isn't the only AMM. Obviously, you have other AMMs, but interesting, right? Like you might have more sell pressure at these regions, 18 cents on another AMM, but this describes not the full picture. Obviously, this describes only the UniV3 HEX USDC 1% pair. That's a mouthful. You also have the HEX USDC 0.3% pair. You have the HEX ETH pair at different fee ranges. You have all of Uniswap v2, which isn't even shown here. V1 is pretty much empty, but yeah, I think I mainly wanted to cover the exponential regression rainbow update. So let me know what you guys think. I also had some people comment saying I could add the old model on a different page as like deprecated charts. I mean, there are a few things we can do. We don't want to clog up the site loading time with charts that are like fit to less data and just less ideal, honestly, right? Like we can change the color scheme of this one if the color scheme is what you guys miss. I've played around with it. We could, you know, change the tolerance band appear to orange, then make it yellow right here. Keep this green, maybe make this blue, and then go blue, purple, pink up here. I mean, we could definitely go back to the old color scheme, but I think this is cool. It's a nice, refreshing change, and it's mathematically significant in multiple ways. So we'll leave it at that, right? I have a couple more videos I want to make for you guys on PulseX, Pulse Chain, really cool videos. They're pretty much ready. I'll be traveling, and I won't be with the Stake Wrap guys tomorrow. They'll probably stream on the channel though, so you guys give them some love, and obviously watch that. They're always super informative on security and whatnot, giving you the updates. But yeah, I'll be traveling, so I'll hit you guys up next week from a different location, right? Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the links in the description to join the Telegram chats, the Twitter communities, and LookIntoHex.com. Obviously, LookIntoHex.com/VIP if you want that extra content. Other than that, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.